Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. It's your boy Kevin Thornton. You are tuned in to the Wellness Architect Show on Manifest TV, part of the Status Network. It's Monday, September 10th, 2018. A very hot summer day in Atlanta, and I'm really blessed today. Today is my Muscle Month Men's Roundtable discussion. My two usual suspects is, as usual, late, so So, you know, God works in mysterious ways, so he knew that's going to be late. But I have two great gentlemen here that would surprise you guys. They are two great men of God doing great things out in South Carolina. And they was here to do another radio show, by my talk show by Focus with Robin. Focus Forward with Robin. I'm gonna get it right.
She will get you.
Right. Focus Forward with Robin. And so they finished at 6, so they was able to come over here and do the show with me for a little bit. So I'm very honored to have you guys on here. So what I want you to do is tell everybody who you are, what you do, and how you became who you are right now. So I'll start with you.
My name is Delvecchio Reiser. I'm an author and business consultant. I have 2 books out currently. The first is available on Amazon. It's called Transforming Your Mind. The second is called Forgive, and it comes from a forgiveness project teaching people how to forgive each other properly based on all the biblical principles on forgiveness. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina, and the way that I got started is I seen myself a few years back working in corporate America. And even though it's a great job, great position, the feeling that you're going nowhere and the feeling that you're wasting your potential because you are invested inside of someone else's dream when God gave me a dream of my own, just like he gives many of you dreams of your own. So I decided to step out on faith and enter into the world of what God wanted me to have versus what I was settling for.
I like it. Now, for those of you who watch the shows, know y'all have seen this man. He was my interview the last time we did it via Zoom. Now he's live in person. Tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, this is Pastor, Coach, just Andre. Amen, Andre Forward. Glad to be here.
Thank you, sir.
I'm so glad to be here. Unexpectedly, we just come to say hi. Oh no, you're on the set. Like, what? But I'm also an author of 2 books. One is called Caught in the Midst of My Mess, Finding Myself While Serving God. And the other one, the newest one, is Careless Whispers. Both of them really are transparent books about my life as a minister, the ups and downs. But then the latest one, Careless Whispers, deal with really trying to answer some of the questions on why men cheat. And so it's really going to help women understand, because that's the ongoing question with women. Men are going to be upset because I told some of the codes. But in the end, it's going to help us. The reason for it is because my heart goes out to pastors who are depressed, and many pastors have committed suicide from the pressures that they have, to me, taken on from being a pastor, being a leader. And the one thing is, as a pastor, we get dirty with the sheep. A pastor should smell like his sheep. But who's there for the pastor? Who's there for those that are leading the flock? And as far as the things that they're going through, those things that are in secret, and they feel that there's no one to go to, no one to confide in, because there's, nothing's really a secret nowadays. There's no confidence, there's no accountability.
Right.
And so I wrote it to help other people, like, hey, if he can come out and tell his truth, then I should be able to come out and tell mine, because there's no shame, because none of us are exempt from falling short.
So do you think a lot of them don't say anything because the fear of being judged?
Fear of being judged, and the congregation is so hard, they're ready to kick the pastors out. Compared to, hey, our pastor needs prayer, or they need prayer, they need restoration. The Bible says in Galatians 6:1, those who are spiritually mature help restore. And so that's telling me, if the congregation can fall short, can do all these things, and the pastor can help them restore them, so why can't the congregation do the same with the pastor? But what we want, what the congregation wants to do, is kick them out and get somebody else.
Right.
So where's this pastor going? What is he doing? And so, we're all human. We all bleed the same way. We all face the same temptations and everything else. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like sexual sins. It could be alcoholic addiction. It could addictions. Some could be pornography. Just like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And so that's where my passion is, and also my passion is for people to live out their purpose.
Okay.
We all have a predestined purpose. And when you wake up in the morning, you know what your purpose is. So you're living your dream. Many people are not living the dreams. Many people don't know how to go about, why am I here? Why am I created? And so they bounce around. They bounce around trying to find out, where do I fit in at, and everything else. But once you find out why you're here and why you created, then your destiny and your path changes.
Right. Okay. So you said forgiveness.
Yes.
That's your second book?
Second book is on forgiveness. It's
And-
a workbook actually teaching people how to properly forgive.
And how do they properly forgive? I think that's a $1 million question.
Forgiveness has 3 steps to it.
Okay.
And it provides an understanding. Inside the Bible it says our people suffer for a lack of knowledge, and people have forgotten how to forgive. So what you notice people doing nowadays is they have their own version of forgiveness. And have you ever seen 2 people argue about forgiving each other and what they did, and both of them are right? But they're arguing to the point that only they're right? Well, forgiveness from 3 steps comes from, first you have to understand how God forgives you.
Right.
And when you start understanding how God forgives you, he forgave you in advance. And that's what we don't do. We're not prepared to forgive. We always wait for a situation to happen, and since we're waiting for a situation to happen and we're not prepped to it, we blow up. And in the moments of blowing up, we react out of character, causing you to need to be forgiven for something else.
Right.
So the very first step in forgiveness is understanding that you have to be prepared to forgive a person for whatever they do. And if you have not done that, you're automatically susceptible to anything that goes on the inside of your life, because they might hit that one point that takes it overboard. I'll use marriages, for example. Inside of marriages, you go through vows, right?
Right.
One of your vows is to, let's say this without going into the full vow. You have to honor, protect, serve. I'm trying to get y'all to call it out.
Obey.
Honor and obey. Now, with all of these things, what's the part in it about forgiveness?
Nothing.
You got to prep something. What's the part about prepping in your vows? For better or
For worse.
Words.
for worse. For better or for worse means if something horrible happens, you have to be prepared to forgive them. But we go into our marriages not thinking about that. So before you marry a person, you really should think, if they do the worst possible thing,
That's true.
can I stay? Now, when you line that up with God, God says, no matter what you do, I forgive you so long as you accept me. He's always prepared. But we're not prepared to forgive. That's the first step, understanding how to prepare yourself to forgive any situation. Because the first indicator of you leaving the situation before it starts is if you can't handle it, you shouldn't have been there in the first place. The second step goes into forgiveness for yourself. You have to understand that different people that you interact with will occasionally do something that upsets you. And since they'll do something that upsets you, you have to be prepared to forgive them regardless of if they actually want forgiveness or not. We oftentimes give our power over to somebody else just because they've done something else to us that we cannot let go of, and they're never going to ask for forgiveness for. So we're always in between this constant battle back and forth with somebody, even when they're not around. And it's because you haven't learned how to forgive for you, which is the second step. Once I understand that God forgave me and how God forgives me, the second thing I can do is forgive you, regardless if you want it or not. The third step is, when do I forgive you? A lot of people get caught up in this step. I know women go through domestic violence a lot. And when you sit back and you look, a lot of people sit and wonder, why did they stay? And it was because they didn't know when the point of leaving was. And that's the third point of forgiveness. When do I leave this person? And it's when they do not ask for forgiveness continuously. What we do is we put ourselves inside of a situation to where people use the Bible against us. You know, inside the Bible it says forgive a person 7 times, 70 times a day. Then say stay to get that long.
That's good.
You see what I mean? So when a person that's done something to you, you know, forgive them. This is from the outside looking in. Forgive them. You're supposed to forgive a person 7 times, 70 times a day. Well, okay, that's virtually impossible to forgive somebody that much, which means I always need to forgive you. And if you only understand that one aspect of it, you will always go through something, because you never know, when am I supposed to exit the relationship?
Right.
So on the inside of the Bible, it also teaches you the exit points. And it's when you have gone beyond showing me that you understand the same principles that are going on the inside of the Bible, I can distance myself from you, because I'm unevenly what?
Yeah.
I'm unevenly yoked. It says do not be unevenly yoked. When a person takes me to the point in time to where I have to forgive you continuously and you're not stopping. So though I forgive you, it does not mean I need to stay.
Right.
And a lot of people wait for permission to leave from the person that's abusing them. And that's not the way it works. The second step says, I got to forgive you for me. But if you are not asking me forgiveness, you're going to keep repeating this cycle over and over again. So I have to know to leave. And sometimes when you leave, that's when the person understands that now I have to stop, because I lost something that I should have never lost.
Wow. Wow. I think the hardest point that you made was 2. I think a lot of times people, they create their own narrative of why or how they should forgive somebody. And because everybody wants to be in control of the narrative. And so when you say, you know, that pretty much you have given your power away to that person, especially if they're never going to ask your forgiveness anyway, then you're going to constantly stay mad because they're never going to ask for forgiveness. Then you blocking any blessings for you because you still have holding this anger.
And you know what we confuse? We confuse this all the time. You need to ask me to forgive you. Well, they didn't initiate that.
Right.
A lot of people force somebody else to ask them for forgiveness, and it didn't come from the right spot when you force it.
Right.
So it's going to happen again, because the minute I asked you for forgiveness without you initiating it, I recognize that I did something wrong.
Right.
Not you forced me to recognize I did something wrong. There's a difference in between sympathy and empathy, and I'm sorry and I apologize. I apologize means I understand you, but I'm still going to do it anyway. Right. Doesn't mean that I think you're right about the situation. It just means that I think it's pointless to continue. We have a difference of opinion. And I'm sorry expresses sympathy. It means I feel what I did was wrong. And because I feel it, I'm not going to do it again.
Okay.
A lot of people confuse the empathetic apology for a sympathetic apology. So we react wrong. The person that's just empathetic, that just understands, will go out and do the same thing over again because they really don't see a reason to stop. The person that's sympathetic will stop because now I feel you because I've been in a similar situation. Like men can reference to jail. If you've ever been to jail, you are sympathetic to anybody that has ever went to jail. If you've never been to jail, you'll typically say, well, you shouldn't have did what you did to get there.
Right.
There's just empathy. I'm sorry you went there. I know it's bad. I watch Oz. I watch some sort of TV show.
Right.
But that's just an understanding. That's not a feeling of being in between those 4 walls. And it's the same way with forgiveness. A lot of people can't put themselves in the shoes of the person that needs to be forgiven. And because of that, they don't really understand how to stop.
So, Mr. Coach Andre.
Yes, sir.
You have an event coming up in next month, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell everybody what's it about.
It is October 27th. It is at Church Builders, 127 Fremont in Spartanburg. It is Man Talk 2018, and it's No More Secrets is the theme. We want all men of all walks of life to come. It's from 9 to 6. There's no charge, but we want to deal with the meat and potatoes of, all the different man talk things that we do. Man talk roundtables, things of that nature. Because it's important for us to have a platform where we can be side by side and discuss the things that keep us in bondage, discuss the things that keep us in hiding, because really those things are eating us up inside.
Right.
And really our secrets really are who we are. And we need to dismiss that, because your brother could be looking like he's okay,
right,
and everything's, because we know the lingo,
right,
and we know what to say, but deep down, what is he like when he goes home? What is his mindset like?
Right.
Even around a group of men. And so it's that time for us to come and fellowship. We're gonna have breakfast, we're gonna have lunch, and I don't know if we even gonna have dinner too, all at one place. And we're gonna have men from I'm gonna have Delvecchio come. I got brothers coming from Pensacola, from Mississippi, from Atlanta. Hopefully you can come there.
I'm putting my time in. That's my goal. I want to be there, support y'all.
And so we can just have some real talk. No
Yes,
women. I'm sorry, Robin. No women. But next year, I have something.
It's funny you have to say that, because they really want to be part
do.
of it.
They do.
Because even like, it burns them up that I have this men's roundtable like once a month, and they have to like they sit back and have to listen to what these guys have to say, and a lot of times what they say burns them up. But I do it because I think women need to be able to hear from a male's perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you don't understand, because a lot of times women go to other women to learn about men, but you can't learn about a man from a woman. You gotta learn from another man.
I need to be on your show.
So I know when this brother come up and talk, he's like the bad boy of the show, because he's going to say something that's going to really irritate them. So a lot of my listeners, they have a love-hate relationship with him. They love him. They also they drive him crazy. But it's not that they drive him crazy that bad, because they go watch his show.
Right.
But they can't get enough of what he's going to say, because he's going to be very authentic about how he feels as a man about what's going to do, and he challenged the women to think outside what they used to think of. And so I think what you're doing is greatly needed. So I'm gonna do my best. I already put the date down on my calendar, so maybe I can find this brother. We could probably ride together, something like that.
Definitely. One of the things too is that women want us to open up.
Yeah.
But when we do, and we truly express how we feel, by the time it's over, they sitting like this, and they pouting,
Right.
and they mad. But if you really want us to express ourselves, because we all have different views of women,
Right.
and I'm sure my brother, he's coming clean cut, and I can tell you stuff about women, because no matter how strong a woman is, there's still a weakness. There's still a weakness, because everybody wants to be loved.
Right.
Every woman has been brought up different. Every woman has a different ideal of what a man is, based off of father being there, father not being there, father being there, but he's still not being there. What about uncle? What about this? What if they were molested? What if they were raped? All these things. And then when women get together, they try to come up with some formula about what the perfect man is, what the man is. And honestly, some of us still trying to figure it out.
Right.
We still trying to figure it out. So how can you tell us,
Right.
when we still trying? It's just like parenting.
Right.
There's no book that really can say exactly this is what you do, but every child is different.
And I think too, a lot of times, I want you to join in. Women, when we try to be authentic and say, a lot of men are broken, just like a lot of women are broken, and the fact that a lot of the men have a lack of father in their lives, that affects them, because there's a hole in their heart about that person not willing to be present and love them. So they always searching for that love, or they shut down or become detached from love because of the hurt they have received from the father not being there.
Right.
But when we try to make women understand that, they look at that as, as an excuse. They look at that as, or they'll say, my father wasn't there either, so what? But we try to tell you, this is where this person is coming from. And when they present that, it's not good enough. So then when they respond to men like that, and they not being empathetic or sympathetic to what this person is trying to say, then you have lost that man for not going forward. Because now he's not going to never say anything to you, because when he tried to, you shut him down.
Shut him down. Because anytime a woman overtalks a man, that's it. It's shutdown mode.
Right.
Because it's obvious you have all the answers.
Right.
So it makes no sense for me to talk.
Right.
So it's shutdown.
Right.
Because, I'll piggyback on top of that. I call it the setup. You ask me a question, and before I got to the period, because, a sentence ends with a period.
Right.
Before I got to the period, you cutting me off and you shutting me down, and you didn't even understand everything I was going to say because you're too upset about what I said up front. When you're the person that asked me to answer this, at least allow me to get to the period and you'll understand more. So when you ask a question, because a lot of women are guilty of this, they'll ask you something that they don't really want the full answer to, or they only want to hear what they want to hear, and that's not how it works.
Right.
A lot of women have this list that they want a person to achieve, and most of them have unachievable list, or a list that's achievable, but they're not doing the same thing on the other side. And that turns into extra problems. How dare you ask me, and I hate to say it this way because now we're in the side chick, side this, side that realm of things. How dare you ask a man not to cheat and you cheating?
Right. Go ahead.
Want me to hold on this?
Yeah, go ahead and just add. What's your thought?
Oh, okay. I should go ahead and share this while we're about us not inviting women to all men events, or specifically why women not being able to hear us out when they ask us the question about where we stand on something, or they want an honest answer.
Or if you express any type of feelings or being vulnerability towards the person, and they can't really hear it or receive it, and they shut you down, what you say?
Well, that happens quite a bit. I mean, there are some women, unfortunately, that are predatory with certain information, and that's a problem in itself. And maybe not at the beginning they're predatory, but maybe. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get your show shared properly. Maybe y'all bear with me. Maybe not in the beginning. It's something of a predatory nature, but. A lot of times when we deal with our women because of, for one reason or another, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to share this and I don't know. Here we go. When it comes time to be retaliatory or vindictive, you'll hear about these things. If there are some vulnerabilities, things that you have insecurities about, because it's used, that information is been stored away and used as a weapon, and that's the reality. And I'm not just gonna put that on just women. Actually, I think that in general there are a lot of weak people that do that. Right. You know what I mean? When they feel like they don't have anything to retaliate with or any weapon, they go for a soft spot. You know what I mean? And because their intent is to wound people. And they say hurt people. Right. You know what I mean? So oftentimes if you were dealing with, and it doesn't have to just be something of a relationship nature. It can be brother, sister, you know what I mean? Cousins, any of that. Right. It's okay, well, right. You made me feel a certain way, so, I'm going to pull this out on you. So you have to be very, very careful as men. There's an onus on us whenever we do or say anything to think it through very, very carefully. But you're right. Well, what the brother was saying earlier with regard to a sentence ends with a period. And so what we try to do a lot of times as men, as thinking men, it's not that we're trying to make our position, our argument foolproof, or we're trying to develop it in such a way so that there's a comprehensive message, because we know the danger in sending out fragmented messages. So that's why the response at times seems a bit lengthy, you know what I mean? Because we want to make sure that we hit all bases when we answer the question that's being asked to us, give you a full background, reference points, and it's a lot of things because we've learned, and it's not being quiet, you're not going along to get along, but in general, the nature of a relationship between a lot of men and a lot of women is typically women tend to complain more. They tend to have issues with more things. They tend to be they tend to be expressive about the things that they tend to be more expressive about things they don't like. And we typically, it's a lot of things we don't like, but we just don't say anything about it. You know, because we want peace. We value peace more than being right. You understand what I'm saying? So now, when there is a time for me, when I'm asked a tough question, I may bring up points of references in the past with things that I've taken issue with, and that creates a whole nother issue. You know what I mean? At times, it's like, well, you know, I didn't say anything about this because it wasn't that big of a deal, but I need to give you points of references as to why I feel this way when I'm asked this question. So, and there's an issue, I won't say an issue, but there's a school of thought associated with that when you have people who typically listen to respond instead of listening to listen. And that's why they'll jump in before you can finish what you have to say, because you understand what I'm saying? So, and didn't let it process through. I've often said, Kevin, I'll try not to be as worried with this, is that it sometimes is better to just hear everything out and respond the next day. I know that that's a Herculean feat for some people, you know what I mean? But if we could just do that, if we can learn to just sometimes not respond. But I do think, in line with what we're saying, that's why it's good that we do what it is that we do, that you're doing what you're doing with these events, because we need an outlet, we need an opportunity to be heard. And with the radio, one of the things that I love the most, and this is why I go full-fledged with it, I put the pedal all the way to the metal when I'm doing the radio, is because nobody can interrupt me while I'm on the radio. You have no choice but to listen or just cut it off. That's it. The only option is listen or cut it off.
Yes.
You know, you got to hear the whole thing. You know what I mean? And I know they get hot under the collar. So, but they keep coming back. So
one thing you said was, you know, for them to listen to understand, not to listen to respond. And like when I coach, especially when I coach the women, that's the first thing I say. I need you to listen to understand, not to listen to respond. Or if I'm talking to someone I'm dating, the same way, listen to understand and not to respond. Because I need you to listen to understand where I'm coming from or where this situation is coming from. And they have a lot of times they have a hard time doing that, because they so quick. A lot of times they want to be right, or they want to win the conversation. So, they want to win the conversation. So I think that's something that's hard for them to do, is to fully listen and be present. So what I tend to do is I'm a firm believer that when we start getting to the point, get to the point where if the conversation's getting too emotional, I shut it down. And I say we need to both shut this down, because you and your emotions, I'm in my emotions, and when you're in an emotional conversation, it's not productive. So we're gonna table this till tomorrow, when we get cool heads prevail, and we can have that conversation. And they'll get mad and be like, who said you could shut down this conversation? I said it, because it takes two to have a conversation, and I no longer want to have the conversation until we both have cool heads, because we both gonna be emotional, and if somebody says something in their emotion, you can't take it back.
That's right.
So let's not give anybody the temptation to go there. Let's wait until we got cool heads and then have that conversation. Now, if you have a problem with it, that means you got to ask yourself, what's your intentions? You know, why you feel the need to continue to have this conversation when you know you're angry.
You know, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, that men don't have emotions, or that they only have the emotion of happy and anger. We all share the same emotions. We react differently to them. So when they see us reacting, they can't equate that over to how they react. and it kicks into another argument because it gets into, well, you should have said it this way.
Right.
Well, no, you understood what I said, so I shouldn't have said it that way because you clearly understood. Now you're just trying to nitpick and get me to say it your way.
Right.
That makes a man feel like, well, I'm not your slave.
Right.
In the same way, you don't want us to make you feel that way. We don't want to feel that way back around.
Right.
But we handle it different, so it kicks into another argument.
Okay.
And that's what they dislike.
Before I'm going to the next topic, I do want to give you, Pastor Andre, some kudos. I hear you got is that a TV show coming out now?
Yes, it's coming out on the Now Network, most likely in December of this year. It's going to be on the New Life Project. We're going to talk about an array of things as far as how people can live out their purpose. We're going to talk about some man talk stuff, definitely. And I'm going to be bringing guests on. I want you to come down. My brother here that I met, I want him to come down as well. But really, really address things straightforward.
Okay.
Because we can be able to, we're able to reach this out in, the millions of people. And so we want to be able to be raw. It's faith-based, but we want to be raw and straightforward and talk about things that you're not going to hear in church.
Right.
And it's going to be things like we talk about here,
right,
or things, in man talk type settings or men's settings, or even the things women talk about. But I also want to talk about, bring people on who have businesses, who are striving, who not just striving, but they're living their dream.
Right.
And so that's coming up real soon on the Now Network.
Well, I had to shout you off for that.
Appreciate that.
Since I interviewed you last, you got a lot of great things going on. So I like to give praises to everyone.
Thank you.
None of us are in competition with each other.
No.
So I can give you all the kudos for doing what you're doing, because that's for you, and it's like this here is for me. But then we can both do stuff together.
Yes, right.
And hit the greater good for everybody. So I will be, I'm going to make it on there. I'll make sure this guy come too, so we can make sure, to do great things for your show, make your show be a success. So I greatly appreciate that. So my man right here sent me a text, and we had on the last men's roundtable, we got real. We talked about relationships. We got real spiritual about how, a lot of times we need to detox spiritually, and part of the detoxification is also detoxing from porn, because porn is very addictive and it's readily available to everybody now with the internet, and it's something that is pretty much watched all the time by men, and I think people don't really realize how bad it has gotten, because I was telling them last time we was on the show, I was watching this show on YouTube, and the male and the female both said they pretty much watch porn and masturbate 5 times a day. 5 times a day. And they have jobs. They have jobs, but they still find a way to do that 5 times a day. So he sent me a video. They sent me a link talking about how if we cut back on or do a detox and cut porn out, we'll be more productive citizens. We have better relationships and all that. So, do you all think porn and masturbation affects how we deal in relationships?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. One, watching porn opens up the doors to so many other things. It'll take you to places and levels you don't want to go, because I heard this. I heard when someone smokes crack for the first time, it's the greatest high they ever have. And so they keep smoking it, trying to get that high. Think of pornography like that, is that when you first see it, and then you keep watching more, and of course they got all the different categories and all this other stuff, and so you're going to crave more, you're going to want more. That stuff is going to be embedded in your mind, and then whatever mate you have, you want to try to do the same thing, with them. You want them to try to do the same type of tricks and everything else. And so you can find yourself in such a black hole, per se, of sexual perversion. And then if one woman's not enough, then you got another one. You got, it's just like playing spades. I got one positive, I got one book, and I got 3 possibles.
Right.
And those 3 possibles, 3 different women, that's all I want to do through different things that maybe this one won't do, because now our body is hungering for something like nicotine, where our body is craving for this, and so we find ourselves entrapped.
Wow.
In a relationship, it also introduces a comparison that wasn't there previous to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you love this woman and you weren't doing porn, and she's the most beautiful thing in the world to you. The next thing you know, you turn on this porn and you see somebody else's equivalent doing all these different things, and now you're comparing them to the person you fell in love with.
Wow.
And it's a consistent comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And a woman's going to pick up on that. And it's like you said, you're introducing to all these other things you want to do. She's going to start thinking, well, where did this come from? Mm-hmm. And why do you want me to do this? And why do you want me to do that? And the entire time, the comparison that they're going to think is another woman, physically, not another woman, I'm watching porn. Mm-hmm. So it's going to create this unnatural comparison that's going to literally build tension over time. And eventually, one or the other is going to win. Either you're going to want the porn more, or you're going to want your woman more. It'll mess up, and like in my opinion, if you're doing it 5 times a day, it's going to throw off your sex drive.
Mm-hmm. You ain't gonna be able to last as long either, seriously, because you're in your own mind. You're working yourself. So when you actually have it, your longevity is going to be short.
You gotta set up the scene. So you just got done masturbating. Mm-hmm. She walks in a room horny. she wants to do what she wants to do in that moment, and she needs that affection from you, but you just got done masturbating and you can't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He just summoned me.
We got a full house now.
Right, you know what I mean? And he man spreading over here, man.
Go ahead.
My man.
What's your thought?
Well, I mean, I feel like, first of all, you talked about the porn, and everybody just started looking at me. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, let me.
Wait, give me the text. That's what.
Well, I mean, I sent you the text because I feel like, I feel like honestly, man, in this day and age, like no one's really emotionally ready for sex. I don't think no one's emotionally ready for sex at any age. You know what I mean? But I think like I've been listening to what you brothers been saying, and the comparison thing. I think honestly, proclivities develop in weird ways. You know what I'm saying? I think once you create habits, I think it morphs into something else. It's not always necessarily a comparison, because I mean, you could. I mean, there's an infinite amount of possibilities when you're dealing with the human mind. I'm talking about balance. You know what I mean? Because in some ways, if you are in tune and you are more, you know what I'm saying, and you have a great relationship with someone, it can be used in some ways as a tool. But the perversion of it overall, and the access to it, and the way things have been going, have been shifted to the extreme measure, it's really hard for people to see it as a quality tool at this point, because it's just led to so much problem. So I mean, I definitely believe in balance, but in this day and age, no one is really capable of understanding how to go into a situation balanced and being confident in themselves. So usually it morphs into like a relationship of inadequacy or comparisons and things like that. But like I said, I mean, in this day and age, you got to be really, really confident in yourself, and you should have someone that you can speak to and be attracted to someone who is also confident in themselves. And if you guys have, your thing going, I don't always see where it's a direct negative, but we just enter things on the flip side oftentimes in life, and we end up learning in reverse. We reverse engineer our lives.
we learn the hard way.
Right, you know what I mean? We make the mistakes and be like, oh, so I wasn't supposed to do it 5 times a day. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So what we're gonna do is, I know you guys gotta go.
You gotta go. Yeah.
So before y'all go, I want both of y'all to give a parting thought. So whatever's on your spirit, say it to the audience, and then we'll talk to y'all. So,
well, the parting thought that I would have, based on the topic and everything, is typically a man goes out because we're not communicating on the inside to begin with. So I can't talk to you, so I went out and cheated with a woman, or I can't talk to you, so I went and I did porn. Either way it goes, it's normally a communication barrier between, and we don't understand each other. And when I can't talk to you, it's like we were saying, you're not allowing me to talk. You're cutting me off halfway through. A sentence ends with a period, a paragraph ends with a pause. If you don't let me get to the ending of it, we're not really communicating. You're saying what you want to say at me. And men don't like that any more than women do. So if you really want a positive relationship of understanding, you have to get the communication down. Because love got you into it, but it will not keep you in it. Communication will keep you in it, or at least guide you further.
Well said. Pastor Andre?
Well, there's two that I want to piggyback on what he said. A lot of times women don't know it, but they're trying to manipulate and control our communication. Because, like it was said earlier, they want us to say things based on how they think we should say it. Well, you should have said this. No, I have my own mind. This is what I meant. This is where I'm coming from. And so they don't accept what we're saying because they believe what we're saying is wrong because we should have said it the way they wanted us to say.
Right.
And so that alone is going to cause some conflict.
Right.
That alone causes conflict. And two, like I say this all the time, many of us try to build relationships from the bedroom.
Right.
You know, we done slept together a few times. You know, we done seen that as good. So now I'm trying to learn your mind. Now I'm trying to, see what your daily habits are like. And then when we find out, oh no, this ain't gonna work because she ain't my type of woman. So now we done been with somebody else. There's another soul we done connected with. And then we're off somewhere else. So instead of getting to know that person, asking questions and really seeing if this the one. But if I've been there, I've been doggish, I've been whorish, so I know when you see something you want, you go after because we're hunters. Mm-hmm. But when you really want to get serious with something, trying to form a relationship from the bedroom, 9 out of 10 is not going to last long.
But okay, I know y'all gotta go. But what if y'all say, we had this conversation after the show, you say, you know what, I like you, but I'm doing a 6-month cleanse. So I'm not having any sex for 6 months, but I still like you. I still want to pursue you. Mm-hmm. In this day and age, how many women do you really believe will go along with that?
Ooh, I want to answer this one. A smart man would never even put those words together. Like that's like telegraphing your punches. I think something that deep. I think you got to move on your own with that one. And then if a woman is on your level, she'll pick up on what's going on. She won't use it as a way like, what's wrong? You don't like me. She'll be like, oh, this brother's on a different level. You know what I'm saying? It may even intrigue her even more. But if you got to put out a paragraph, yeah, I'm doing a 60-day, I don't want to hear about that because I feel like it's a bunch of fluff anyway. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's something you pulled out of a book and you felt like it was relevant. You know what I'm saying? Because you live in your bed. I'm being serious. Right. Because it's not what you say, is what you do. And I noticed that I get the most results in life when I just do it and I don't say it. So if you're gonna say it, then at that point you've already diluted a little bit of your own path. Because sometimes you got to be able, because that's something about discipline. That ain't just something to just be like, oh yeah, like I'm proud. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those. It's a spiritual thing. You know what I mean? You can't just be bragging about that just because it'll be your elevator pitch. It'll be something that you just, it'll be a part of your vernacular. You know what I'm saying? Like your flow when you talking to somebody. Yeah, I'm on my little. If you want to cleanse, then damn it, you shouldn't be talking to nobody. That's kind of how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, just move. You know what I'm saying? Kind of let things flow. That's how you let things happen for you and to you. But if you go out and you promulgate and you let people know what, you know what I'm saying, where you are in life, I don't know, man. It's just, that's what people do. Like, I think that's what Atlanta has kind of morphed into.
Well, really, even with what you're saying, it kind of morphs into you really setting yourself up to fail.
Right. I think that's
because
what I
more
was being
temptation is going to come when you make this announcement that I'm going to, like he said, you just need to be by yourself then for about 60 months. Just keep, and you work on you. Right. You go through that detox on you. Right. Because
ain't nobody else going to
saved or unsaved. Women want sex, even though and they could be trying to abstain from it and everything else. But when you start dating and start seeing people, you start holding hands, you start touching, and all this other stuff starts to get aroused. And after a while, you say, "Oh, we shouldn't do this." And so you may have won today, But what's going to happen on Thursday?
Right.
And so then what happens, you keep pushing the envelope, and the next minute, oh man, we shouldn't have went there.
Yeah, because you've already listed out 6 months.
Right.
You can't, like, if you stop early, they're going to be like, well, what happened to 6 months? That's going to start one thing. The minute you said it, it's going to make them overthink, well, why? Is there something wrong with me? Is it my body? Am I not good? And too many questions are going to kick in. And oftentimes, the one that they're going to end with is, it's not me. He must be cheating. So you set yourself up to activate all those thoughts because they're not going to understand that a man going 6 months. They're not. No one is bred to think a man is going to say, let me go 6 months because I want to respect myself.
47 days is okay too. Sometimes we get so finite, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really easy to get to quantify every aspect of your life. But I think healing from the inside is one of those things that you can't, it's not a direct recipe. There's no handbook to life. So who's to say that, like, I don't know what it takes, 7 days to make a habit, 21 days to break one or something like that. Like, whatever that time frame is, like, everybody has their own cycle and how they process things and how they change and how they morph. When we start saying 6 months and 3, you know what I'm saying? You just do it. And you'll know when you got that glow. You'll know when you got that inner peace. You know when you reach nirvana, eureka, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying, that you're searching for. You'll know it's a feeling. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle change. It's not on this, because you might hit the 6 month and not be any closer to your enlightenment than you were when you started. So it's about what you're doing when you do it.
What would you really be cleansing by not having sex for 6 months? Like, what are you cleansing?
You know how much discipline that take to not
Are you cleansing or are you breaking something?
What you mean?
Like, what am I cleansing? I know it takes discipline, but what am I really cleansing by not having sex for 6 months?
I'm gonna tell you something.
It'll shift your paradigm.
And I know y'all that's why I haven't said anything, because I don't know what their official break time was, but I know this is gonna get meaty in a second. So I'm trying to, and this is personal testimony here.
But y'all
have you seen the movie?
Some people, they think different stuff. Like, I got an STD, I'm gonna go 6 months, get rid of it. Like, you gotta break down you say it's a mind frame. When I say I'm gonna pause for 6 months, what are you trying to cleanse?
It's also specific to the person's needs. That's why I say, why are we quantifying and qualifying what other, you know what I'm saying? It's specific to self.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie Abyss? Have you seen it? It came out in the 80s, late 80s.
It's an old movie.
Well, I think
they were deep water.
Yeah.
And at one point they put a helmet on the guy, one of the main actor. And they filled it up with water because they wanted his lungs to condition to breathe in the water. And at first he was fighting it, you know what I mean? And at some point, he became adaptive, you know what I mean? And reached a point of homeostasis. And I kind of felt that way. You know, I had dated a lot of women. I went through some financial turmoil, and it seemed like, I lost them all. And but you know what I mean, I had champagne taste with beer money. So even though I didn't have the kind of money I was making, I still wasn't gonna settle for women outside the type of women I wanted. So that put me in a very bad place, because you know, I'm just not gonna go with what's gonna go with me. I still wanted what I wanted, you know. And so what happened is that put me in a period where I wasn't really seeing anybody for a long time. And what happened, one of the miracle and the blessing behind all of that is that it got me to a point to where I didn't desire it anymore. And I knew at that point in time I was a dangerous man. You know what I mean? Because there was nothing that had any control over me. In fact, I started working at a job with a bunch of women, and this is gonna sound a little harsh, but I got to really see, evaluate, and vet women for who they were, they actually disgust me at times.
I knew it. I know Here we go.
And
my dude,
I was just like,
it's
man,
a show now. It's a show.
Kevin, your ratings just went up.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Oh no, we do this every time we get together, man. He just been quiet over there.
And for me, I can't. But I mean, I've really reached. Now I can get somebody. I can get the right person now. You know, and because I'm just like, oh no, because if all you have, it don't matter how bad she is. If all she got to offer you is sex, she's no good.
That's right. No substance.
You know what I mean?
I say they have no substance.
I want a woman that when I call her, I'm gonna tell you, a young guy at this other job I work at came to me and was talking to me. I guess we're young, but I got him about 10 years. He could feel I was older, so we're working. He asked me a question about some girl he likes that he's dating, and he's like, I don't know if she likes me or whatever. And you know what I told him? I said, man, you just need to go and do something else. You know what I mean? Because when a woman like you gonna know. You're not gonna have to wonder. You know what I mean? When you look down, I'm telling you. Right. It's gonna be text messages. It's gonna be calls. It's gonna be, I'm sorry I missed your call. I was asleep last night when you called me back. Good morning. You're not gonna have to wonder about it. So we need to, but it's until we get to a point where we get a clear mind and you get exposure. You see, man, these jokers, a lot of these jokers be lying out here. I mean, lying about. Man, I work in a nightclub atmosphere, and I'm one of few men that work in there. I see guys getting hustled at the bar, a bartender. I see it.
You know, they've grown accustomed to feeding our desires, not our purpose.
And that's why we got to stray away from that pornography, which leads to because it's the infiltration of this bad media into our minds that have us we have unnatural sexual appetites. And let's be honest, Pastor, a man doesn't need anything to incite his sexual appetite. It's already high.
Yeah.
So when we start adding
You're right.
strip clubs, you cannot even watch Family Feud without them talking about sex. In every question, we live in a hypersexual society, and everywhere you turn, this is what it is. And when have you ever not known advertising to mean selling? And so, whenever you see a woman and she's dressed provocatively like that, she's saying, "I'm selling," because I'm telling you what I see. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? This is how they live like this. This is how they live. I know plenty of women that don't even pull listen, man, you go to a bar, it don't make no sense that we don't even have genuine communication at the bar. Go to a bar in Atlanta. I challenge everybody to do it tonight and see if you see any single woman. They all going to be sitting there on their phone, not communicating with nobody around them if they by themselves, and you can't even communicate with them unless you buy them a drink. And this is the reality of where we are with things. And so I use the word prostitution. I won't use it tonight. You know what I mean? But
you won't use it.
But I mean, but this is what we're dealing with, and it's not real. Pornography is not real. I have not been in a situation myself where a woman felt comfortable being penetrated or can even naturally stay lubricated for 45 minutes at a time. This is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? All of this stuff, everything that we're seeing, it's not real. It's not real. It creates unnatural sexual appetites, and then we as men wonder why all the women are dating women, because we was the first ones to bring the other woman into the bedroom, and guess what? You can't change what happens once you introduce somebody to something.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, this is bigger. You know what I mean? This is so big, but I mean, we've become hypersexual. It's so accessible, and we can't have meaningful relationships. If you want to have a good sexual relationship, you have to learn your partner. But when you're constantly digesting this stuff that you see on your mobile phone or your tablet, or you know, I don't even think they do VHS and DVDs. I don't want, but I'm saying, but what I'm saying, that's why we started off and we was.
First of all,
you're right.
Man, I was born in '93.
But what I'm saying is that every woman is different. Everybody, but when you taking that stuff in, it creates a selfish sexual appetite.
That's what it is.
To where you can't even be pleasing to your partner because you're not even trying to learn her body and, well, it should be her, but you're not even trying to learn her body and what it is that because all of them are different. But that's not, I'm gonna leave that alone.
But even to your point, who are they having sex with? Because we're not gonna call it love. Mentally, right. You know, his body's there, but where's his mind at? On whatever he's watching, whatever he's playing back that same video over and over again. I'm not saying every man. But
I feel. At the end of the day, man, too much of anything is a problem. And if it's dominating your life, first of all, that like if men just channel just a little bit of their of that energy that they have, man, we really be unstoppable. But we run across the street get our head knocked off just for something in a little tight little skirt, man. Like, look, man, you never lose women chasing money. All right, but you always lose money chasing who? Chasing women, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I be like I'm really just on the movement right now. I listen to the young men, and you know they hoeing around just like the young ladies. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look, first of all, this is your dating pool, which means this is your marriage pool. So you might want to start scaling back. Some of y'all getting older, y'all having daughters. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like life catches up with you fast when you're moving really, really fast. You know what I mean? So, you know, like we need to focus a little bit more on. It's not necessarily about cutting anything out in particular. It's just all about understand yourself. Like you should just constantly be getting to know yourself. And I feel like the more we get to know ourselves personally, I just feel like the better all of our relationships will be, because we'll know how to set boundaries. I feel like a truly emotionally stable person is someone that doesn't lie to themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, I think that's the essence of emotional stability. You know what I mean? Because you can look at things and it's not an indictment on who you are as a person. It's just a catalyst for change. You know what I mean? For you to get better. But we don't do that. We live in the self-help era. Everyone's a guru. You know, everyone's super woke. But we still out here on around. So I mean, it can't be that much wokeness going on. You know what I mean? If we can't control our bodies, because at this point we got some bigger forces that we going up against, and you know, not being able to control our emotions and our sexual desires, man, like we got bigger fish to fry at this point. So we need to be solidifying some real relationships, some real bonds, some real connections, taking our time, because over the next 20 years we gonna need that more than we gonna need anything else as a people that look like us sitting up here.
I hear you. We're gonna let y'all go for real.
All right.
Before Rob kills me.
Pleasure, man. See you soon.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
All right, Doc. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, sir.
All right, brother.
Oh, we came on the right day, huh?
You see, I was shot. I'm like, what? Hey,
My bad.
All right. Oh, what are we going on? One more? Okay.
All right. You ready?
Hey, I mean, I got comfortable with the code list.
There you go.
With the code list.
Thank you.
You.
Appreciate you.
It's Virgo season.
I forgot.
Yep.
So happy belated birthday.
Hey man, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it, man. I just, you know, took my mom, best mom in the world, man. I took her to see Childish Gambino, man. Changed the world, man. She's still talking about it, man. Shouts out to my Dukes, man. Like I couldn't have had a better date for the concert. She was calling her girlfriends. Girl, let me tell you. She compared him just to Maurice White.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that was the highlight of my birthday. I got a little tattoo, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Did some
dope.
meditation, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
You know.
Got some more
Good,
income.
good.
What you get this time?
I got some cover up art, you know what I mean? I got some abstract art of a, you know, black man, black woman, Africa, some Adinkra tribal symbols.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Yeah, man.
Dope.
So what's been going on with you, sir?
Just trying to pull it all together, man. I had we talked. When I came to your job, we talked, didn't we?
Yeah.
Some developments. I talked to that guy today too. The gentleman from South Africa.
Yeah.
About doing some potential sales for their company, and there's a lot of. I mean, it's just blessings on top of blessings, man. It just doesn't even. I don't even know what to say. You know what I'm saying? But it's been. I definitely see. Some great things on the horizon, and like I haven't seen before. I haven't been this optimistic and happy in quite a long time, you know. So, you know, that's pretty much the gist of that.
I want you to, in your best way, to articulate your journey this past year.
Oh my God!
Because I think it'll be a blessing to somebody else who's probably going through something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, that's why we're here, right? That's the most important thing. I'm gonna sum it up, but then I'm gonna break it down.
Okay.
I think that when we get on this idea, the biggest thing is self-evaluation. You know what I mean, and self-development. And I think that once we get on that track, we never, you know what I mean? It never gets old to you.
Right.
You know, I recently joined a Spanish cultural group. I'll be taking some merengue classes on Wednesday night, too, by the way, at Tongue and Groove.
Yeah.
And y'all are welcome to come. Y'all can invite friends, too. So
We was chopping up about something else, too.
I joined a Spanish group.
Yeah, that's what we was talking about.
I am just all around broadening my horizons. But I had, you know, when you get to making a decent amount of money, you know, and this is why entrepreneur is good. There's no ceilings on it.
Right.
But when you lose that, nobody's gonna pay you what you were making.
Right.
You know what I mean? That means there's gonna be some serious adjustments that you're gonna have to make, and they're gonna be very hard to make. You know, but you know, at the end of the day, you get to see things for what they really are. And I think that's the blessing, that's the miracle, when you get to see things that you couldn't see before. And so, trying to get integrated into a system, a workforce, a corporate monster that I had never really been on the other side of was possibly one of the most difficult things I had to do. But I find the value now in the lessons that I learned. Mm-hmm. I found out who was really my people, who was really down for me. I found out a lot about myself. Mm-hmm. And a lot of bad things, a lot of some areas that need to be some adjustments. But I found a lot of good things about myself. You know, I'm a fighter. You know what I'm saying? I have some intestinal fortitude. And I can say this now. And I think you saw me when I came in. I had a different probably type of glow about me that I hadn't had in quite a while. Okay, bye. But I would say to everybody that everything is temporary. Even when you look at the Lion King, when he kind of went off, Simba had kind of went off into the wilderness. And the biggest issue was, you know, he forgot who he was. Mm-hmm. You know, and we're going to all go through these, whether they're voluntary or involuntary sabbaticals, because we're human, we're fallible, we're vulnerable, and we don't even realize how vulnerable we are. You know, until stuff comes upon us. I had lost my mother, and I didn't realize that I was still dealing with that. I thought that I wasn't dealing with it anymore. You know what I mean? And that maybe contributed to why I felt so lonely at times, and why I sought and kept company around me that wasn't the best for me, because I had fear of being alone. But then you get into a position where you really don't have a choice. You cope with it, you deal with it. It's been a crazy journey, but I can tell anybody, no matter what you're going through, you got a lot of hope, and it's a lot of people that are not only don't have it as good as you have it now, even though you think you have it bad, but there's a lot of people who are rooting for you to get back and above where you were, and that's real talk, you know. And we're going to talk about a lot of these things. I think Erica officially put out it's not a Status Network made flyer, but we just wanted to hurry up and get something out there to let people know that we're coming back. Goody. I was excited too. I commented on it. And so, but it's been tough. I mean, throughout the process, we've all been in communication. What we've all been going through, we've been a benefit to one another. And I'm happy to be here. You know, I feel life like I haven't felt life before. You know, I felt like I was dead on the table. My heart had stopped beating, and I got hit with the defibrillator, and it just kicked it right back off. And I'm stoked, man. I'm very grateful for working with Music Monk the last year, having him there with me. What we did in Atlanta Public Schools, the people that we have met throughout all these journeys, the lives that we have touched, and in a lot of ways, again, we learn a lot about ourselves. When we was dealing with these young men and women, we learned some stuff about ourselves. You know, and there's not enough I can say. You know what I mean? I talked to a pastor the other day who came, Jimmy Smith. Pastor Jimmy Smith. Shouts out to Pastor Jimmy Smith. He came into where I was working at, and we had a long talk about some things. And I tell you what, this go around, we're gonna do things a whole lot different. I can assure you, and we're gonna be a even bigger blessing to people. And you know, it's just big things on the horizon. So you know, we'll get into that more and more I guess as we go along.
Good. Proud of that. So, what would you say was the one thing that kept you going, or what was a shift in your mindset that made you see things differently?
Realizing that people say you're not in control of much, but you are in control of how you react to everything that happens. Realizing that, and as we talked about when I was sitting over there, y'all were talking about relationships. Mm-hmm. It's self-evaluation. Even when you're in a toxic relationship, you got options. You can't change anybody else, but you can change yourself.
Right.
And the quickest way in a lot of instances to change, I don't want to say change people, but to change the behavior of other people is to remove yourself from it.
Right.
You are always, no matter what's going on, you're always in control of yourself.
Right.
I have had situations that looked just really bad at one of the jobs I worked at. And I felt like I got cheated, and I could have blew up. The old me would have blown up. But I walked away, and other people saw I didn't get treated right, and they came back the next day and compensated. So it's like, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I mean? Nothing is a death sentence. It's not over and done with. Sometimes we just got to be patient, control ourselves, do self-evaluation. That's it. Self-development, self-evaluation. That's the key. That's the key to everything. That's the key to changing everything.
And you gotta be open and honest with yourself.
Absolutely.
You can't change and can't grow if you're not being truly honest.
Absolutely.
With yourself and honest to what you may need to change within yourself.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the major things that I think we as people have to realize. And something you said too is, I think sometimes too, in the process of the journey, what we might have going on, sometimes you might lose a sense of self. And you have to be open to saying, you know what, I lost a little bit of confidence.
That's right.
And with that lack of confidence, I attracted these type of people to me.
That's right.
Because I wasn't confident in who I was. Based on, I defined my self-worth based on what I had or didn't have.
Or where I was at that time. Right.
Exactly.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's constant self-evaluation. Every problem is the solution lies in self-evaluation, and when you start doing that, here's the beauty of it, Monk, Kevin. The beauty of it is that when you start doing that, you actually are even better for other people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you can see when they see this stuff in them when they slipping a little bit, and you'll be a lot more understanding. You'll be a lot more forgiving. You know what I mean? You'll be a lot more transparent. You know what I mean? I'm telling you. What's going to happen, what we're going to do in business is going to be so much better. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because of the lessons that I learned from how people treat people on this side.
Right.
And I'm like, well, hell, now that I know what it's like, when we start doing what we're going to do, not only, we got a call coming in? Mm-mm. Okay. We start doing what we're going to do, I mean, we're going to be turning, we ain't even going to have room to receive all the people because we're going to be so good to the people we got that they're going to go get us more people.
Right.
So yeah, there's lessons in the valley, man. You know what I mean? It really is. So I know we got a show to do. I know you just.
No.
I'm kinda,
he was asking you questions.
Sure, okay. Well,
we over here listening to you.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, we asked you a question. What's going on with you? What's going on with the music, your YouTube?
Man, hey, look, man, y'all gotta stay on me, man. Like, I'll talk music every single day. Like for example, like I got so much to say about Bino. You know what I mean? So much to say about a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? It's just, I think what it's my relationship with social media. It's like I'm kind of torn between fasting from social media and using social media as a viable tool, and I just have to mature and develop a little bit more with that relationship. But I have tons of content, so it's not like music in the truck with Music Monk or anything else that I do. It's not like it's not ever going to develop. It's just I gotta just figure out some things before I feel like I'm consumed with social media, because I feel like that's what'll happen. Paying attention to I don't know whether or not I should set it up and turn off my notifications. I'm just trying to find peace and balance with my art, my talent, and just kind of look at it in a way not in terms of what everyone else does, but just want to have that balance between, yeah, I'm creating content. Sometimes I just might set my camera up and just talk sometimes. You know what I mean? Just it don't always have to go somewhere. It's just sometimes it's just good to just get it out. But I mean, I enjoy having great musical dialogue and just dialogue in general with you guys. But for me right now, really like I'm you see I'm like really kind of chill right now. Like I've been real chill lately. Now man, I had my birthday, man, and I feel like, you know, my birthday is like my New Year, so I made some mistakes. I had a great year. I met some great people. I've learned a lot about myself, you know what I mean, good and bad. And you know, right now, like I'm just excited for everybody that's really developing the discipline that they need to get to where they're going. That's the thing that I admire, because I haven't always been the most disciplined. I've always had like a particular talent, you know what I mean? So it's like but now I'm realizing in order for me to be the best at what I am, like now I have to go ahead and like make my schedule and stick to my schedule and my commitments, and no more concerts for Music Month for a minute. So y'all won't be hearing about me. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you know what? Because I mean, honestly, like I spend so much money on concerts, and I mean, it's not like a lot of money. Like I know how to find, you know, if somebody performed in here, and you know, I would think that was a show. Like I can make anything into a show. You know what I mean? But I just noticed that I don't like my position when I go to these shows, because I feel like I should be behind the scenes, you know what I mean? I feel like I should be chopping it up or interviewing an artist, or you know what I mean, something like that. So now it's, you know, now it's just streamlining, investing.
I think you're a lot closer to being able to do that than you think you are.
Absolutely.
You know, interviewing artists after shows or prior to shows. I think you might be one connection away from the right person, to be quite honest, because your music acumen, I didn't even know that it existed. You know what I mean? The depth to which you attack music on a cellular level. Now, you know, I'm gonna take it a step further, on an atomic level. You know what I mean? It's subatomic particles. You know, so. I didn't. Some of the stuff that you break, I mean, that's your thing, and I mean, it's gonna find a way for you.
Yeah, I feel like, and I appreciate. Thank you so much. Like I genuinely appreciate, and I know you guys. Like I know you guys wouldn't fluff me, so you know. I know. So and that's the thing that drives me, and I think that that's also the thing that scares me as well. You know what I mean? Like I mean, I'm human, so I have my fears too. You know, sometimes you can almost be afraid of your greatness. You know what I mean? When, you know, especially, you know, it's like I don't want to be to the point in my life where everyone sees things in me that I don't see. And I think that's one of the things that when we talk about gestation, when we talk about progressing in life, you know what I mean? These are the things that you have to, your awareness is not a static state. You're in a constant state of flux with your awareness. You know what I mean? Especially with how you relate to yourself, you know, your environment, things like that. So I just want to be able to just tune everything in. You know what I mean? Like I want to be a well-oiled machine, and I can just go out, be confident in my art, be confident in the things that we have to do, and put and be like the best Voltron we can be. Like let's put everything together. You know what I mean? And really give people a different complexion, a different tone.
All right.
You know what I mean, of what we can do.
I can have a follow-up question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give it to you in a minute. But
okay.
What I think too for me is, I think we all met at the right time. We all going through a journey, and we all went through a journey together.
Right.
We all had some different situations. But I have learned as I have spiritually evolved and elevated, my vibrations has elevated as well. And one of the things that, you know, you've always said to me when we have meetings about your show and all this kind of stuff is like, you always wanted me to be that guy to get, you know, the guests, because I get these great guests or whatever situation may be. And like it's where I'm at, I guess, vibration wise right now, I'm able to attract these people, and I say I'm gonna go and put it out there, and they're gonna come to me. So like next week, have a show with Hydra One Beverages. They was on my show last week. They called in and talked to us. So we gonna have them on. So part of the person, one of the people who coming to the show is Braxton Cosby, who is Bill Cosby's nephew.
Okay.
And so he's like the brand ambassador of that. So that's gonna be a great show. So it's like, okay, I see what you're talking about. The show that I'm trying to work on, I need to talk to Ned about this. Maybe I've talked to you about this. The show I've been trying to work on that I can't get on my days is that I have an agreement to interview Warren Valentine.
I told him I would do it. I would just come in and do it. And it don't matter when it is, what time of day.
Yeah, I reached out to him a couple weeks ago, and I sent him a message on Facebook, and he was down. He was down to do the show. We're gonna do the show this week, and but he has clients that he coaches at my time slot. So then I said, well, about bear the conversation times. I said Tuesday 6 to 8, something like that. He still got clients, so we have to be some kind of way where we would have to try to like tape the show early.
I see what
and
you're
put it
saying.
on the slot.
I mean that's an easy adjustment.
But yeah, that's so when I got that, it was like, okay, you know, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it happen. Those kind of stuff. Go ahead.
Do you think you can get Angela Rye for me?
You ain't you my boy.
I'm not ready for that one. Huh?
You ain't ready for that. You
I
right
want
there,
that
bro.
one myself.
Okay.
First of all, her and Common broke up. Her and Common, I
right,
think
she
it
was
might have
dating
been too
Common.
much light skin.
Maybe so.
I think it might have been too much.
Overlapping
I think it
lightness
might
of
have been
skin.
too much light skin. But no, shoot your shot, man. But every time I see your girl on 46, CBS 46, I think about you. I know that's your heart right there. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, also, if you could get
Yeah,
her
man.
to come down and do the show, that would be. I'd take
first of
any
all,
of
man,
them.
shoot your shot, man.
Yeah.
But
Shoot your shot.
I think now we all are at a place now where we're elevating to another level, and so with different things is coming. So that's why I agree with him, where you just one click away from doing what you says you see yourself doing.
Yeah. It's, you know what? I think the Childish Gambino concert was, I think that was like one of those moments for me. I think I kind of surprised my mom too though. It's weird because it's like, you know, like she is like, sometimes she just listens, you know what I mean? But when I looked at the performance and I looked at the songs and everything, I was like, oh my goodness, like this young man is like really, really doing some transcendent work. And I always feel like I run along parallel with a lot of my favorite artists, whether or not it be Outkast, you know, Childish Gambino, you know what I mean, D'Angelo. But it went dead. Okay.
But I do want to ask you a question. This is my
What's
mom,
up?
For real.
What's up?
So, in this past year, I have seen the growth and the elevation. What was the change?
I'm brutally hard on myself. I'm really, really hard on myself. I'm really, really hard on myself.
Yeah.
And as a result, I kept developing unhealthy relationships with people and putting those expectations on other people. And it's like sometimes detachment is good, you know what I mean? And then sometimes detachment is stirred up like there's a catalyst, you know what I mean? And I just noticed that a lot of my relationships were, the unhealthy relationships that I were having with people, like they were imploding in a way that it made me, I had to reflect on myself, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So once I started to realize like, hey, I got some things that I got to do, you know what I mean? I kind of just looked at it and I was like, you know what? Detachment is good. My reactions are bad.
Right.
But the catalyst for change, you know what I mean? Especially when you see results. Like everything I said I wanted to do for the most part, like I've done this year. Now I know that this last part of the year, it's time for me to really invest in my craft and my talent. You know what I mean? So I had to get rid of the things that were holding me down, that were anchoring me down, that I didn't need. And then I had to, just kind of just see the God in myself.
Right. And and it's funny because things are coming. You have situations like me. I had a situation where I was gonna have this opportunity that fell through, but then it was that's just the God or the universe letting you know what's possible. And so now here we go. This man just sit here and say, okay, I got a show starting off in December. I need you on my show. You could, millions of people can see you. You know what I'm saying? So even though that didn't work for me, it prepared me for the moments about to come up in December.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and he knew it all aligned the right way because he came today. I knew you was coming, and I knew once he saw you, he was gonna want you.
Hey man, I'm at a service. I'm at a service.
See, but that's just saying, like when we talk in private, it's like, okay, it's coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's coming, but see now it's starting to come, and now it's like, okay, you just gotta be grateful for everything that's coming your way.
I have no doubt that in time, we'll be. I mean, what we're doing will be bigger, and we'll all get a chance to work together. Be bigger than the Steve Harvey Morning Show. I have no doubt in my mind.
Dude, if we had something like that, when I tell you slaughteration, I just made that word up on the rip, man.
Right. Yeah.
Cause this guy right here, this like he just y'all don't understand, man. Kev keep us. Me and Larry some hotheads, man. Y'all don't know, man. We some hotheads, man. Like Kev, he's just so cool, man. Like his energy is infectious. I feel like we all have infectious energy. But I feel like in order to have the right chemistry for something like that, people need to know. You almost have to have boundaries automatically built in, and I think it's like when you meet people like that, that is the essence of like kindred spirits. You know what I'm saying? When you automatically have the respect for boundaries that are just automatically understood. Right. You know what I mean? And adoration and all those great things. So. Yeah, man.
It'll be crazy.
Yes.
And, we're really preparing for it now. And it took EC to say something to me one time. I had a guest that I had took out to eat and everything that we were going to come have on. He was a professor of religion at Clark Atlanta, and he didn't show at No Call, No Show. And I was so frustrated. Because we had built a show around it, and it was her who came to me and said, I said, we're not prepared for this, to have this discussion. We posted what we're going to talk about earlier on. She said, no. She's like, you've been preparing for it your whole life. You didn't know it. And so I think that what we're doing now on this level is not just the preparation, but there's a grassroots audience that's being built. When I see people in the streets and they can say to me, man, you got to have me on that podcast or whatever, you know what I mean? And I didn't even know that you even knew about it, right. So this is, we're building something that's going to put us in a position of I think, better marketability.
And what's crazy is that, you speak into existence what you're looking for, what you're asking for. And in the past couple of weeks, I've had so many people from Africa reaching out to me and friending me, and whether it's them seeing the show, somebody else from Africa who watching it, or they seeing my inspirational thoughts and it being shared, and they come my way. And so that's part of the vision, is to become international, global, so I can reach as many people as possible. And now I'm starting to see it happen because this influx of people from other countries, asking to friend me, to follow me, and all this kind of stuff. So it's crazy. And then I gotta set down a date because I'm gonna be part of a documentary.
Now that's hey. Put me on a documentary.
The person asked me. He said he wanted me to speak on it, and I said okay, let's make it happen. And the crazy part about it is you never know. You know, like I said, you know, I want everybody to win, so I'm not in competition with none of y'all. This guy's doing things, and he's like, okay, what can we do to make you go to a whole nother level?
Right.
And so we said we need you to get exposure. You know, he came from the TV world, so he said we need to get you exposure, become that thought leader, whatever. You know, whether it's going on the wellness side or the personal development side, you can do both, and you can speak well on both. So we need you to become that thought leader, and so the only way you can do that is be on content to where we adjust you as such. So that's what he's gonna do. He put me on.
Excellent. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, though. So, you know, it's just like, you know, I think sometimes we go so head first and talk about relationships that I think sometimes it's good just to let everybody know that if you put the work behind it and stay positive to what you're going through, that everything comes out. You know what I'm saying? So
it's hard, man.
because a lot of people are struggling out there.
They really are, and I mean, it's when we start talking about self-evaluation, I had this shift that I was working. Oh, okay, there it is. All right, yeah. I had this day shift that I was working, and I wasn't very grateful for it. You know, I was, but I wasn't, because I didn't think. I was like, well, the foot traffic is kind of slow. You know what I mean? And I'm there all day, and there was times when I was paying the busboy out of the drawer more money than I made. And that just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Because the busboy's money is hourly, you know, and mine is more gratuity based. But you know what happened? When I started figuring out and remembering who I was again, I took that platform and was able to do something with it. You know what I mean? I started saying, wait a second, I know all these people in Conyers, and I don't even reach out to them and say, you know, you can get a better deal coming here. It's cheaper to eat there, and the food's of much higher quality than that it would be to go to Wendy's or something like that. And then I started saying, okay, well, you know what? Here's what I'll do. Anybody that I do get in here, I'll make sure they come back. And that's what I did. And slowly but surely, I started putting together a plan of how can I subdivide this up? How can I use the busboy? How can I use the cook in here? And I said, hell, I can make just as much money here in one day as I could maybe working a weekend or something like that. And it'd be all mine. I wouldn't have to split it out with anybody. The point of it is that we got plenty. You know what I mean? But we need to look at what we have and look, what do we have? What can we be grateful for that we have going on in our life right now? And say, okay, well, life really is play the hand that you're dealt. Like you said, somebody alluded to the spades earlier. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, yeah, we got 3 spades and maybe 2 possibles. But the idea is to not get sandbagged. You know what I mean? To not overbid.
Right.
And figure out the combination of when we're gonna play this queen of clubs. You know what I mean? And so, because if we can get through this, then we get to survive to the next hand.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't know what you're gonna get in that hand. You know what I mean? And so, I hate to use football. I watch Peyton Manning a lot. And one of the things that was very consistent about them is that when they got down, he still took every possession seriously. And you just don't know what fortune is going to fall your way when you start cutting the lead from 21 points to 14 points. You might be a big turnover. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? When the other team deep in their territory, now you set back up again. And life really, for people that don't believe it, really works that way. It is a game of momentum, but it starts with you.
Right.
You got to look at what you got. You got to think about not only what you do have and be appreciative of what you do have, but you got to be appreciative of what help you got coming that you don't even know is coming. That's already en route to you. You know what I mean? And I didn't give up on a play one time. I played high school football, and the guy had me beat. The guy was much faster, and I started chasing him. I could have just gave up. But what happened, the cornerback from the other side of the field flung over, didn't tackle him, but he hit him enough to where he slowed him down and I could catch it. But if I had given up on, well, I'm saying, you got help coming that you don't even know is coming.
There we go.
You can't account for that, so you got to stay, you know what I mean? You got to stay focused, and you got to stay looking forward at what you do have that's positive. You don't know what blessing is going to hit you tomorrow. Right. You don't know what opportunity is going to hit you tomorrow. You don't know by one simple act of humbleness who saw that. and decided they was gonna put an increase. You don't know. You don't know what glitch. You don't know when your power bill is behind, and they should cut it off. But that the last time you got to cut it off, you had $150 deposit you paid that you forgot you had. You know what I mean? So now you getting up with no joy, you know what I'm saying, and this, that, and the other, and you carrying that stuff, and it's avalanching into other things in your life, and it's something already set up that you had forgot about to cover that short. This is what I'm saying, and it really does work this way. You know, so I mean that's the only thing I mean when we talk about this, it's close. I'm telling you, we got some major breakthroughs that are close.
That's good.
Every last one of us. So
That's good.
It's just perspective, you know, self-evaluation.
Cool.
I realized that I suffered from codependency. That was my biggest breakthrough this year.
Really?
Yeah. I'm an only child. So my entire life I've been, you know, I mean, I'm cool being by myself. I'm actually I'm a bit of a loner, but I realized that you know, that codependency has always been there. Like I look back and over the past 10 years, there hadn't been a time when I wasn't dealing with some young lady. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's what I realized, you know what I mean, was the driving force. So now I'm really like, you know, I don't have no fancy slogan. I don't have no colloquialism or anything. I'm just kind of at peace, kind of just learning who I am, like by myself. You know what I mean? And it's always when you're not, and it's you know when you're destined for greatness, man, because it always be that one that you think about, and you thought it was a done deal. Because I don't press nobody to be nothing with me. You know what I'm saying? If you gonna talk to me, you gonna talk to me. If not, you not. I like my late father say, I ain't gonna beg you. You know what I'm saying? But you know, for us single men, like, trust me, like, there's women out there that's peeping it. You know what I'm saying? They like, you know what? I'm gonna let Laris go.
Kevin,
I missed you, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to make you laugh real quick, bro. I just wanted to make you laugh real quick.
Yeah, but it is. You don't know who's watching you and who's taking note. And I mean, I'm telling you, man. Once you get to a point where you're comfortable with you, I really think that things get that much. The difference now is that, because I think we're all codependent. I think that we were designed to be that way too. You know, we're interdependent creatures. That's just the nature. Because, you know, God doesn't put a check in your mailbox. It doesn't work that way. He gives it to somebody else. You know what I mean? What it's saying is that God moves through people in general. Right. And, you know, there's an old gospel song, y'all probably heard it, I need you to survive. You know what I mean? And so I really believe in it. I think that, we got a caller?
We got action on the line. We got some voicemails. Who been leaving us voicemails?
Yeah, is it ringing?
Nah, it's not.
No,
ringing.
it's just back on.
Oh, okay, cool.
Let's listen to the.
But so I think the difference now is that we're willing to be patient and just wait on the right thing. You know, it ain't a whole lot of eagles, but eagles don't mate with anything but eagles. Right. You know, and so they may be endangered, but you know, if you're gonna procreate, you know what I mean, it's gonna have to happen that way. I was told that a lion and a tiger, a liger, yeah, they're sterile.
Yeah.
So,
but mules are sterile.
Right. Oh, are they crossbred too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get outside of, no, you can mate a lion and a tiger
historically
to create a liger, but that animal is sterile and it can't reproduce.
Yeah, like a mule. Yeah.
So you're gonna have to go with what you are.
Right.
And you're gonna have to be what you want.
Right. By the time mulatto is technically it's a racist term.
Oh, certainly.
The Puerto Rican, the native Puerto Ricans were the original mulattoes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Which is a derogatory term because they're not sterile.
Okay.
Oh, what are we doing?
What? I did. All right, my bad.
Hey man, your woman, the woman for you is gonna be the one that can repeat your quotes that you give out.
Cool.
Cause we all good for some sayings.
Right.
Right.
But if you know what I'm saying, like that's it. That's when you know a young lady is listening to you. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's not foolproof, but I'm just saying, just for comic relief. As soon as she hit you with that, she gonna hit you with one of your famous lines. You gonna call me. You gonna be like, "Monk."
Right.
Somebody did that to me though.
Monk.
Did it?
Yeah.
You got some chemistry with him? What do you think?
Hey.
Yeah. And
You can't tell the way he doing this chin.
You made me think. You had me thinking right. I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's true. Because I put stuff out, and I don't really pay attention to people if they pay. I know people read it,
Right.
but you just never know. And then
You know you be getting all them hearts on that thing, boy.
Right. I'll be trying to read them, but when you have to hit it to read more, I'll be like, I'll come back to it. Man. I got stuff I got to do.
Hey man. At least he honest.
Yeah. Well, I talk to him enough to know how he thinks.
Said,
So
this the conversation. I need the beer. Just said this is the conversation.
Right. Yeah. And I can't wait. I mean, I think I wanted to do something tomorrow, but I think we're gonna have to wait till next week just because.
so what's gonna be the platform for?
When you say platform, what do you mean? Like,
What's gonna be? Are y'all gonna focusing on social issues or?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I want to do, and I'm putting it out there, and this is what I talked to EC about, is I want more listener and viewership and involvement, and not just with whatever we're talking about, but I want input as into what it is that they want to talk about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're called to be spokespersons for the people, and our job is to talk about it. So when I seen the thing about pornography, I was kind of excited because there are a lot of people who want to talk about these, want these things to talk about, but they don't have the courage to get up here and discuss it in a very transparent manner. And so that's one of the things that I want to do more of. And like I told you, we're going to be more guest oriented, but we're going to have fun. We just want to make sure that we're credible, that we're unique, that we're credible, and it's beneficial. Right. You know what I mean? Most importantly. And I think that if we stay with those, I think we'll be fine. I think that we'll be able to reach every human being on the planet because I believe that the human condition is the same. You know what I mean, across the board. And I'm telling you, just from some of the testimonies and I don't know what it is, but on this other job, that the young man, he's a Hispanic Mexican dude, and he doesn't talk to people, but it touched my heart that he felt comfortable to talk to me about something as embarrassing, potentially embarrassing as, that he liked a girl, but the girl didn't like him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's a lowering of the guard. And that didn't really come from, in my opinion, anything I had said. There must have been some sort of spiritual aura that made him feel comfortable to talk to me about something like that. And that's something that I'm very appreciative of. And what I'm saying is that everybody's going through some of the same stuff. Right. You know what I mean? And how they articulate it and communicate it may be a little different, but going forward, I want this to be more involved, and I want to get on. I mean, we're gonna get into some serious stuff like Stockholm syndrome and molestation that has not only gone on in the church, but that has gone on in our community.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you would be very surprised how we're not 2-3 generations removed from a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean?
The church be enabling a lot of the stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, let me just say, probably enabling most of it. Like, that's probably where we get our generation. Now, granted, sweeping stuff under the rug is the American way.
Right.
But because black people are inherently more American than anything else.
Right.
You know what I mean? It seems like the things that we do become hyperbolic,
right.
As you were discussing earlier.
And I've always said, before I became a life coach, I got coach, and one of it was 2 top issues that men was going through. The number one issue was abandonment issues, the father not being present. The second most prevalent issue is molestation.
It's serious.
It's crucial. And to be on these calls with these brothers and to see them crying because they were molested by the mother's boyfriend or the next door neighbor, to where now they don't know their sexual preference because of that situation, goes on. It was crazy.
And probably secretly there's a desire to be. This is why the mind is so powerful. And when you start playing with the mind of children, it's dangerous. There's probably a subconscious inherent desire for notoriety,
Right.
acceptance, and praise, just like a lot of our young women. This thing when we start getting into the meats of a lot of these discussions in the coming weeks, it's going to be very, very powerful because it's a lot of people who are dealing with this. And father abandonment is really more centered around. That's why I don't understand how people praise these new rappers that have these misogynistic messages where these young men are on stage with $100, $200 bottles of champagne, gold chains, cars, money, and then one man that's a bunch of women around him. Abandonment is centered around men not vetting the woman and going after the woman that they really want to be with. It's because we have a culture, a music culture, and a culture in general, an old slave culture that encourages us to get with a woman as quickly as we can for purposes of recreation. And that's why they don't stay. So these are some of the things we're going to be tackling. Some of these issues. I know we're going to have a lot of fun with it too.
I'm looking forward to it. But during the conversation, we'll be back next week.
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I wanted to do it tomorrow. Now, if something happens and Jack just says, come in and just do it regardless, okay, fine. But I don't think that's been worked out. So next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, 6 to 8?
No, actually it'd be 8 to 9.
8 to 9. All right. So this has been your boy Kevin Thornton, the Wellness Architect. My guys, once a month, they come in, give their thoughts and their wisdoms. You guys, they love month, they love hate. Hilarious. But I greatly appreciate both of y'all coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Always
Come
pleasure to be
here,
here.
I appreciate
giving
it,
the wisdom and the knowledge you gave to these ladies and to the gents. So once again, next week we have Hydra One Beverages on the show, and then the following week we have a great show about relationships. So you don't want to miss it. This is your boy Kevin Thornton, the Wellness Architect, and we are out. Peace.